Okay, Project L, Math 122. What's the project? It says over here, find the area of the inner loop of this object over here. They give you what the curve is. That's r is a function of theta, and it equals to 2 cosine theta minus 1. And it goes on to say, it's going to be done in two parts. An upper loop is formed between 0 and pi over 3. This is where a lot of students struggle. And where they struggle with it, they struggle with this, where does the loop begin? Where does it end? And it is a struggle. And it's a struggle you want to meet, all right? Now, where were polar plots introduced? In Math 120, all right? Why are they being reintroduced over here? We're actually using this to do the calculus of them, arc length, and area, all right? But I know it's difficult, but here's the deal. The lower loop and the upper loop, they're identical loops, so really I do a double it, and I just go between 0 and pi over 3. Again, the struggle is you say, oh, well, just accept whatever you say. No, that is not the struggle. The struggle is to be able to do this. So what I want to do is I just want to briefly go through, try to reinforce that I believe the loop is formed between, at least half the loop between 0 and pi over 3. And what I mean by that, there's half of that loop in over here. So what I want to do is I want to go to Sage. Let me clear the screen. I have Sage running because I run it often. And what I want to do is I want to play around. I want to say, reset, maybe doing some graphing. I'm going to say theta, is a variable, and that variable is theta. All right, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to say now r is a function of theta, and it's equal to, or being assigned, I should say, twice the cosine, that's a star, by the way, for multiplication, theta, and then I'm going to say, let's see, minus 1, right? And I think if you recall, and again, a lot of times you can't recall. I mean, you just say, I can't recall what you've just done. I can't recall what you just said. We just did a project, and we did the polar plot. Remember that? Polar plot. And I'm gonna graph out r theta, just like we did before. Whoops, that's t theta. I don't want that. And I want the theta to go between, let's do 0 and 1, see what happens. And again, if I make a mistake, it's not going to blow up. Well, I definitely see a picture. All right, this is just me playing. I'm going to close that picture. And now what I want to do is I want to go 2. I'm getting a different picture now. You get the idea? Now I want to go to 3. I'm getting a different picture. And again, I think you see what I'm doing. I'm just playing around with software. Let me go to 2 pi. Okay, I'm expected. It closes it out. All right, now remember what I said. I was trying to figure out, this upper portion of the loop. So I said, I hope you recall, pi over 3. We'd get the upper loop. And I get it right over there. All right. Now, I want to point out to you, let me go back to the actual document. So I said between 0 and pi over 3, we're getting the upper loop. And then I said the lower loop was this one over here. All right, let me go back to my Sage, and I'm going to retype this one over. I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to use the up arrow to get the command. I'm going to back over this, and I want to go between 5 pi, so that's going to be 5 star pi divided by 3, and 2 pi. Again, if I make a mistake, nothing's going to happen. And I'm getting the lower loop. And I hope you realize, looking at these two guys over here, this was the upper loop I just graphed. That was between 0 and pi over 3, and then the lower loop. Now, certainly, that's going to be this inner part over here, all right? Now, something you could do is, just do this upper portion here, integrate it, and then double it to get the area. And that's what I did in the notes, by the way. So I want to type that in for you. And again, I'm not going to look at my code. I'm going to look at this over here. And I want to verify that I get this answer here. So I'm going to say 2 star integrate. And I'm going to say 1 divided by 2 star. And what am I going to do? I'm going to be doing the r theta now, right? So r theta, and I'm going to square that. And I'm integrating with respect to theta. Now again, what I want to point out, if you can't remember what you did in the past, you go back. All right, so remember when I did the integrate over here, I had to tell it what the variable was and the bounds on it. Right? I had to tell it the variable and the bounds on it. So let's go back over here. And what's the variable over here? Theta. And what's the bounds in that? Well, it's between 0 and pi over 3, right? So 0 and pi, pi, divided by 3. And let's see what happens. And what do we get? Well, we get pi minus 3/2 the square root of 3. I want to point out this is the same answer over here because 2 pi divided by 2 is pi. And then what are you going to get? You're going to get minus 3/2 root 3. Same thing. Again, a lot of students have a tough time reading this and reading the typeset version. They often misunderstand it. That, again, is part of your learning curve. Again, I hope this has been helpful. They also provide code over here of me going through that as well. All right? Thank you so much for paying attention.